Doing well. I'm wrapping up fall break.
And that's a shout out too. A lot of people are on fall break this week, so if you're able to watch in and make sure you ask some questions, you can jump in to the YouTube live chat where Brandy and Dana will be taking questions. So make sure you introduce yourself. If you do not have the capability to comment, go to and press the subscribe button, and that will give you the capability. But now it's time to hear what you're tuning in to actually hear about and learn about is from Mike Hall, who is the digital learning coach out in Bardstown, and Lance Blanford, the director of workforce development, and how they are transforming the ILPs with Google Sites. How are you guys?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Doing great.
We are so glad that you've taken the time today to share this with us. A lot of people are wondering what other districts are doing, how they're managing their ILPs. So I'll let you all share and take away.
Great, thank you. As Courtney said, I'm Mike Hall, digital learning coach here in Bardstown in the school district, and I've got Lance Blanford here with me, who is our workforce development coordinator. Lance and I have some things in common in that both of us are brand new to these positions. This school year, we both were hired in these positions at the end of the year last year. And we have been working together on the ILPs and Google Sites for the last few months. Full disclosure, most of these things are Lance's ideas, and he has done a lot of the work. I have helped support him in rolling this out with students at the middle school and high school. So Lance is probably going to be doing most of the talking today, and I will interject as needed or where I see where we want you to talk about something. But I'm going to let Lance go and tell you what we're doing with our ILPs and how we're pulling this off.
So don't let him stretch the truth. This would not have come to fruition if it wasn't for Mike's technological knowledge. I kind of sort of had the idea, knew what we needed to do, and he laid out the path to get there. So I appreciate that. Don't let him stretch it too far. And as you mentioned, yes, I'm the workforce development coordinator and brand new. When we came on board, or when I came on board, the district and our superintendent really wanted to focus in on ILPs, and he didn't really have. He kind of left it up to me to kind of decide on how we were going to best integrate that throughout the district. He did mention that he would like to see it start probably at the middle school level, just to go ahead and obviously meet the sixth grade standards on academic goals and all of that, but he would like to see it start at the middle school level and then work its way up to the high school. What I found was Mike was formerly a middle school teacher, and fortunately for us, a portion of the ILP was already began digitally by Mike, and so it made the transition for us a little bit more seamless, but there's still some work to do. We can start first by looking at our goals, and what you're going to see today is what we presented to not only students, but the teachers and also the families, some of the families as well. So feel free to jump in and ask any questions as we move through this. The three main goals of the Path to Pro initiative, which is the workforce, we branded essentially the workforce development program. And a part of that is the ILP. And the three goals of Path to Pro, as you see there, are to help students discover their purpose, develop the plan, and then determine their practice. And with those three, and continuing on with that P-related theme, that is their path. And so that kind of helps them, as you see, we break down the work that needs to be done based on those three: the purpose, the plan, and the practice, as you'll see here in a little bit. Now, when it comes to the reasoning behind all of this, we feel at Bardstown City Schools that this is our obligation to our students. This comes from Kentucky's Talent Pipeline Management System, which is driven by the Kentucky State Chamber. And as you see there, the supplier, we think that we know that we are the supplier, and the employers, our responsibilities kind of blend, but we think that it's education's responsibility from career awareness on to the onboarding. That is our responsibility to make sure, and we cross over and we support them all the way into when they enter the job market. And how do we do that? Well, that's where Path to Pro comes in. Again, our goal is to help them develop a purpose, plan, and practice. How do we do that? Well, we're going to do that by increasing meaningful instruction and real-world application. We want to increase student and school network relationships, increase student and professional networks. So those are the goals with that. And we feel that with improved connections between those, we will be able to improve our transition readiness and post-secondary outcomes for our students. So again, that's kind of the ultimate goal of the workforce initiative. We'll get to the ILP part in just a moment. So as far as developing the purpose, this is what we introduce to our students out of the gate. We let them know that they're going to be participating in real world activities to build value and increase the motivation to develop their P2P, which is their ILP. We do some reality fairs, it's project-based learning. We bring in guest speakers, we take them out to see guest speakers. And we feel that doing that, they can help develop a better understanding of their skills and interests. Now, this is the first step in developing the ILP. Every student in our high school thus far and in our middle school, well, we're at about 80% to be honest, has already completed an interest inventory and a skills assessment portion. We picked one that we felt was the best one out there. There are some others that are coming into the market that I'm excited about, that I think that are going to be a little bit more geared towards students and education more specifically. But at this point, we chose the ones that we thought that our students would be able to best relate to. With that information, we are able to take that and we are able to know exactly what industries and what specific jobs or careers that our students are interested in, which allows me as a workforce development coordinator to then go out and engage employers, right? As you see there, this is from our high school. Our numbers, I can tell you right now, these numbers have changed a little bit since then, but they're pretty much, it's still pretty much the lead is healthcare for sure. That actually is up to about 30% of our student body population from in the high school. And then followed up, as you see there, by business. And then next comes manufacturing, and then tied is construction, and to my good surprise, education there at 12.8%. So that allows us to go out and seek employers and to kind of expand upon the students' ILP as they move into more work-based learning opportunities. Now, going back to the skills and the interest inventory, right? What they do is they're going to be adding that to their Google site, and I'll go back into that more here in just a minute. And again, that is the foundation of the ILP from year to year. They're going to complete that skills and interest inventory every single year, because we know that our students' interest and their skill and their understanding of their skills are going to change from year to year. Our hope is that if they start in 6th grade, by the time that they're in the 11th or 12th grade, that they've at least narrowed it down to something that some sort of maybe that just the industry that they're particularly interested in, not necessarily a specific career within that industry. So we use that to again, they're gonna put those skills and interest inventories into their ILP, into their Google website, which then is going to allow us to introduce them to other employers and work-based learning opportunities in the future. So as you see here, developing the plan, again, it starts with skills and interest inventory. They're going to use a web-based ILP called the P2P, as I mentioned, and it will guide academics, engage the family, the teachers, and their professional network. Our goal is to make sure that everyone involved in that student's life has the opportunity to access this ILP. And again, it is completely student-driven, completely student-developed. They are going to be the ones that puts the information out there. They can pick and choose what type of information. The school is asking that they put certain information that we know that is needed by, their teachers and their professional networks. But any other additional personal information that they would like to place out there, that is completely at their discretion if they would like to share that. It's aligned to our ACES curriculum, which is an advisory curriculum. when students enter 6th grade, they are placed with an advisor. They maintain that advisor from year to year. The same goes from high school. So when they enter 9th grade, they're going to have the same advisor in 9th grade that they're going to have in 12th grade. So they're going to be able to build those relationships, and those advisors are also going to be a key part in helping them develop those ILPs, and then using that to again connect out to the professional networks as they move through their high school career.
And one thing we've done at the middle school and high school, and I've heard some other schools doing this too, that, I mean, the ACES mentorship is not just that, meet when you have time or whatever. We've dedicated one day each week where we've adjusted our schedule where their students are meeting with their ACES teachers for a class period. So they have opportunity to meet each week, talk to them. They can work on their PP, other things as they need to help develop this plan, ask questions, and get help along the way as they're working. So that's a key component of it.
And ACES is an acronym for Academics, Community, Economics, and Social. So there are various lessons that the advisors do throughout the year that are aligned with those 4 components. And again, the student's ILP is aligned with that. And so any lessons that they do in their ACES period, they can just upload that information to the Google Sites, as you'll see here in a bit. I think I've covered everything else there. As you'll see there, academics, community, economic, and social. You'll see some of the things that the students could add to their ILP. If they wanted to brag about their punctuality, their attendance, their GPA, any other extracurricular activities within the academics domain. Community, they can brag about community service, community awareness. Economic, their resume, interviewing, work-based learning opportunities, and their post-secondary plan. And then, of course, the social, which is more of the self-discipline and collaboration and character piece. So what can the P2P be used for? That is mostly what our goal is that post-secondary transition piece. Ultimately, we want them to be able to take this P2P on with them as their, and they always will have control of this. Once they leave Marchtown High School, they have this to go on, and they can use it as a college admissions letter, military acceptance letter, industry certification, or letter of intent to hire in gaining those. But that has to be included in their ILP before leaving Marchtown High School. So as part of the ILP, they must have one of those included in that. Now we get into what we've been waiting for, really, and that's kind of an idea of what the P2P is going to look like. Again, remember, the students have complete autonomy to develop this site as they see fit. Now, Mike and I have, this whole process has not been without some struggles, but we think that the majority of our student body population is going to have the technology skills to be able to develop this. Google Sites is pretty simple. However, for those that may have a little bit more difficult time developing their site, we wanted to be able to just distribute a template such as this for them, but we're having a hard time. Google doesn't make it real easy for us to distribute Google Site templates out. You pretty much have to share it student by student. And so we're talking about possibly some various ways that we're going to be able to do that for those students that want just a template to start off, and then maybe that they can modify it from that point forward. Again, this is our first year implementing this, and so we want to make it as easy as possible for those students to build this site.
I want to jump in for just a second, and I appreciate that you all have taken the time to show kind of your why. I think it's important to know, if you're watching and you see a Google site, that you can't just sit down and build it and just say and brainstorm right then. I think the pre-planning that you put into it of, what do we want from a student? What are the requirements? But then what do we really want from Bardstown City Schools? I like that you showed that. I like how you explained that one advisor stays with that student throughout to build that relationship, because sometimes that's something that's missing. And we can have an awesome Google site that you're going to show us in just a second, But if you don't have those pieces in place at first, that's the most important thing. I'll quote Ben Maynard. He always says, people are people. And that's what we have to focus on first. So I appreciate you doing that and showing, because what you're getting ready to show us is nothing without the pre-planning and the work you've done with building the relationship. So thank you for sharing that before.
I just wanted to pipe in. Hi, Lance. I'm Heather. Hey, guys. We were kind of met with a very similar challenge. You want to leverage digital tools for students to create whatever the vision is. And for us, that was the JCPS backpack. And we had kicked around Google Sites time and time again, but the hard part for us was just what you said, Lance, like there is no template like that you can create at the district level and then push out to every kid. So we had to go in a different direction and develop it. But I think, we have 100,000 kids. So that's really hard to think about creating some kind of a standard for every one of those kids. But in a smaller district, I think it's very smart what you all have done. And I'm really excited to see how it played out. So,
thank you. Yeah, so I can't agree more about that pre-planning point. Whenever you introduce something so new, not only to the students but also to the teachers, they have to have a thorough understanding of the step-by-step processes and the why behind it. And we spent a lot of time. Mike and I met. We brought in every grade level and met with them in the auditorium one by one and explained this process to them, just right out of the gate, so that they fully understood it. And it wasn't just, hey, here's something else for you all to do. And because for the fear of, as we have all seen, when you introduce something new and it kind of doesn't have a good solid foundation, it just crumbles within the district of even a small district, especially in the larger ones. And so we invest a lot of time with that. So yes, great point. So yeah, what you're looking at here is our P2P, ILP. And again, it goes back to the alignment with the ACES curriculum. All the links at the bottom are linked to a specific page. We can start with the home page, though. As you see, what we're requiring every one of our students, go back to that career inventory. Every student has to put on their page what particular career they're interested in that year as their career. And so when teachers, advisors, myself, when I go to a student's page, I know what they're looking at, right? And I can link them with maybe the appropriate employer. We also require a resume. Students are building resumes in 6th grade. We're going ahead and getting that started, even as basic level as it can get. But they're starting to understand what a resume looks like and means to them. And then there are other contact information. Of course, we would like a picture as well as their name. We'll start with the academics tab, or we can actually, let me go back to the about portion, short biography of who they are. I think is important. Again, they can put pictures in here, they can put videos, they can do a video biography if they wanted and insert it into here. The next tab is our academic portion. If you see there, we've got a variety of different options. What I've chosen to put in there is scheduled and the learning goals, the grades, and extracurricular activities. Again, they hyperlink out to other pages and photos and other documents. We still are working on this particular piece. We're working on how teachers and students can pull information from IC. We'll have to give you another report on that at a later time, because that's something that we just have not worked out completely yet, but that is on our radar. Community, as you'll see there, click there. The 200 Club is a list of 200 hours that they are going to be required to meet for community service in their time at Bardstown High School, which should be really easy based on how many opportunities they had. The Community Passport, we're really excited about this. This piece, again, is in development. I think more and more schools, especially here in Nelson County, are are aiming towards getting students engaged so much more and out into the community. And this is the way that, one of the ways that we plan to do that. The Community Passport is made up of various important locations throughout our community. We're going to put a QR code at each one of those locations, and the students visit the locations, they scan it. Once there, it pops up. It can activate like a questionnaire about what they learned about the location, and allow them to document it via pictures or video, and then they can check off a required number of locations on their digital passport. So we're really excited about this opportunity. We're working with community partners right now to get the QR codes in place. And as you see there, you can link to community service photos through Google Photos. Economic portion, the one where I kind of reside mostly as workforce development coordinator. We've linked out to resume resources. Google has a resume builder that we have linked to that, as you'll see. We have the resume rubric that the students are going to be graded on. And then, of course, you've got the link to my particular resume there as well. Back to economic. This will be where they upload their career and interest inventories, as you'll see there at the bottom. And then, linked out there. And then going back, their work-based learning opportunities. And then another big piece here is, as we all know, is how that financial literacy standards are being integrated into the curriculum and in the ILP. So we chose to put this within the, obviously it made sense to put it in the economics portion. So the financial literacy curriculum that we're doing in there, they can upload the different projects that they're doing throughout the year there as well, that lets employers and their family members know that they have those skills. Tiger Stripes. Tiger Stripes is how we're linking to our Community Ready certification, which is our work ethics certification. So the way that we do this, and I don't mean to complicate this for you, but students 6th grade through 12th grade have the opportunity to earn Tiger Stripes every year. Those Tiger Stripes, they accumulate, and if they accumulate a certain number of Tiger Stripes, it allows them to be eligible for what we call the Community Ready certification, or the work ethics certification. So it's something that's going to travel with them from 6th grade on. It involves a variety of different components, again, that are aligned with their ILP and this ACES curriculum. They have to show that they have completed a certain number of requirements in academics, community, economic, and social throughout their career. And then in the end, we're working with community employers to build value for that work ethics certification. And hopefully that will get them a foot in the door, guarantee them an interview with an employer within their specific industry that they're interested in, and so on and so forth. Again, all of this is, I reiterate, we have not established this. This is not something that is running smoothly right now, but it is in our first year, and we've made a lot of headway. And I anticipate by next year, all of this will be embedded firmly into our processes within Barstow City Schools. The last piece is the social, and this is the more of the objective piece or subjective piece. And it's really, this comes down to the relationships built with that ACES advisor. And we want them to have real meaningful conversations about their character development and their ability to collaborate and communicate effectively with others. And so we have a standard character assessment that the ACES advisor will sit down and kind of go through with each individual student 2 times a year. The advisor will fill out one, and the student will do a self-assessment, and then they will have a conference and communicate with one another on how they feel like where they lay or where they are in their character assessment. And so again, this is a subjective portion of the ILP, but we think obviously very meaningful. So that is what the P2P, our Google Sites ILP, looks like. At this point, I'm willing to, I think we could take any questions that you all may have. I know that it was a lot of information, so feel free to jump in here if you have any questions.
That was a lot of information, but great. And I love how you outlined your entire plan for us. So it helped us to see the whole vision. There was something very early on that you mentioned, if you could explain what that was, and it was a reality fair.
Yeah, so a reality fair is something that we're doing from a workforce development standpoint, and that is we're giving students, a reality fair gives students certain scenarios that they are going to face in the real world. And then we bring in employers and community members, and those community members kind of run different parts of the community, like different community aspects. So let me give you an example. One of them may be a grocery store, and one of them may be a bank, and one of them may be a child care center. And so based on the student's certain scenario, like they may make $2,000 a month working at this particular job, and they have 2 kids, and so they have to learn to budget and go in and figure out different ways to make that budget work. And then it kind of just gives them a better real world example of what it's going to be like once they get out of high school and they have to start managing their finances and facing other challenges. And so it's a pretty neat concept. We plan to do one on more of a regional level that I'm working on with the Lincoln Trail Workforce Development Board on. And so I'll shoot that information to Mike, and he may be able to share that out for you all if you're interested. We'd love to have you join.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it sounded interesting, and it sure does. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I love it.
Absolutely. Any other questions regarding that? Again, it's a lot of information. So, as you process through this, please feel free to ask questions.
I have a question. How often does the advisor and the teacher work with the student kind of to update, spot check? Like, I know that's compliancy, but just to kind of, how does that workflow look like as far as completion?
Are you talking about specifically regarding the ILP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about it is it seems really, it's intentional to be real. Oftentimes you'll hear people talk about the ILP, and I think we've probably all at least heard about a scenario that it seems very compliance checkboxy, and you're making this the way that it's intended to be something that's helping a student guide themselves into a career. It's not just a box. So how do we, we have the site, we have the goals, but how do we make sure that stays as a part of as part of reality for the student?
Yeah, to be quite honest, if it were not for the ACES curriculum already being that advisory period, being embedded, we just started it last year, and so this year we obviously are implementing the ILP portion, but had we not had that dedicated time, I don't know how successful you can really make an ILP, really honestly, because the ILP is probably maybe they work on ILP maybe 2 out of the 2 weeks out of the month that's specifically focused on ILP development, and the other 2 are kind of focused on maybe financial literacy, which is still a portion of the ILP. They're submitting that or uploading it to their ILP, but it's other character development and other real world experiences that they want to embed into the advisory curriculum. But if your district doesn't have an advisory curriculum built into their day, it's going to be difficult to do an ILP of this nature, I think. And I think it's very, very beneficial. I mean, outside of the ILP, I think that it needs to be an advisory period at least once a week.
And I was hoping that you would say that because I could tell the way you all have approached this. It isn't a checkbox. You're going to have to, it's part of the way they exist. I know Chase Goff, he, you know, is doing some awesome things in Nelson County, but when he was an administrator, they had houses and they checked in with their kids. It's very similar to what you're talking about, is having that relationship building. And I think that that is so important, that we can have a great plan and you can have a great site. But again, it goes back to that relationship and having that plan to where you are in contact with those kids and it's real. It's more than just the checkbox. So I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I love how you set it up. I love how intentional it is and how real it is.
You know, and the teachers and everyone, the parents, everyone has responded so positively to that. And it just goes to show you that we're a smaller district and our resources are a little bit limited versus maybe Nelson County, a little bit larger. And then, of course, JCPS is on a whole other level. But, you know, even just once a week for us, we're seeing major results. So, and it allows for this to happen. Any other questions?
Hey guys, hey Mike, good to see you, old friend. Hey, so I know that ILP across the state is a hot topic. What are districts doing with the ILP and how are they leveraging digital tools to make it happen for kids? So Woodford County has reached out to us several times and they might be a really good thought partner on this with you guys, working with them. And I'd be happy to connect you to that team. But, you know, here in Jefferson County, we have an awesome leader. Her name's Heather Gray, and she's been kind of figuring out how to use Google Docs and Google Classroom with the counselors in order to get the ILPs completed with kids. And so I just think it's really neat to see how different districts are creating solutions to this. Essentially, it's a mandate that we all kids have an ILP, and yours is very creative. And I'm excited to, you know, hear from you guys next year about, you know, because you're kind of trailblazing using Google Sites, and what would you do differently? And so far, Mike, being on the tech side, like, what advice do you have to other districts who are thinking about leveraging Google Sites? What advice might you have?
Build in support as you go. Be ready to make lots of screen capture videos. Be ready to answer lots of questions. Be ready to be in classrooms with, you know, whether you're doing it with, you know, advisory period like we're doing, or if it's something that's even after school that's taking place, be ready to be there to support, because, you know, we're going to have varying levels of tech skills in both students and staff. And you're going to have some staff members that are, you know, ready to run and take off, and they're like, nope, I got it, I'm good. And they can show kids how to do it. Then you're going to have some that are like, please come help me. I don't get this. I don't understand. So, you know, being a digital learning coach, or, you know, something else with technology, that's where you've got to be ready to step in and work with staff and students, and support them to make this real for them. You know, it's one of the things that we talked about with students specifically was the reason we went with the Google Sites is because you can do so many things to make it your own. And yeah, there are some requirements that we have to have in there, but so much of this, you get to share the things that you feel are important and that really tell your story better than any test score or interest inventory or anything else can do. And Google Sites is so easy to get started with, and it integrates with so many other things that it just makes that sharing, not just with teachers and other people in school, but with parents and community. It just makes it so easy to get that done. So that's one of the reasons why we went with it.
And we can actually show you, Mike has done a great job, because that was, and it goes back to that pre-planning point again, you know, we knew that if we didn't have everything in place, as many resources for the teachers and students as possible, then this, we stood a risk that it was going to fail before it even got started. And so Mike did an excellent job. What we did was we took the Path to Pro, which again is the workforce development portion. ILP is real synonymous with the workforce development program here in Bardstown. But what we did is tied it to the workforce development homepage here, and they have access to videos and tutorials on how to develop how to complete the skills and interest inventory, and also how to build their Google site. So again, if you remember, I mentioned earlier, everything comes down to the purpose, the plan, and the practice. So if you go to the purpose, you'll see there that step one, we said you're going to complete the skills assessment. And if you click on the skills assessment, or you don't have to click on it, you scroll down, sorry. There's a video right there embedded that shows them how to complete it. Step two, the interest inventory, video that shows exactly how to complete it. Step three is their student career interest database, which allows us to gather the data that they've collected from their skills and interest inventory. And we've aligned it with the top 5 industry sectors. And again, this allows me to kind of make those professional network connections with the students, right? So then if you go to the plan, we've got there how to build the Google website. Click on that. And Mike has done an excellent job again of giving the resources.
So this, I made a Google Slides hyperdoc. So each slide in this document that has a video embedded that walks them through each step in creating a Google site. Just basic creation to different customizing different parts of the site, changing themes, using custom colors, adding files from the drive, adding text images. So they have a resource to go back to at any point in time, both staff and students. I know most of you are familiar with hyperdocs and how easy that is to share and use for students. So that resource is there for them all the time.
So this Path to Pro page is accessible on our high school and middle school websites. The students can go right there, click on it, access it, and answer any questions that they may have right here. Most everything that you can think of has already been established here for development. Anything else you want to show them?
I think we covered it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I would just like to say how refreshing it is to see how you are intentionally developing your students into well-rounded adults. All the aspects. I really enjoyed the community passport portion. I think that's a great way to get those students into their community and learn about their community, because a lot of times students aren't engaged in their own community. So it's a great way to bring the community to the students and the students to the community and really build that relationship there. So I love that.
Yeah, thanks for that. From a workforce development standpoint, again, the statistics show that the majority of our students are going to stay close to home, right? And so we really think it's important that they're establishing those professional networks early and often throughout their high school career. And we think that's a great way to do that. Thanks for that.
Well, Lance and Mike, that was fabulous. Thanks for taking the time for the questions. Although you guys very clearly outlined your process for us, which was great. So hopefully it'll help all of us work harder, not smarter. I think we're going to go ahead and close out. And if people have questions, they can hit Mike up on Twitter or use the KYGO digital hashtag and find us there. And then if you would like to learn more in the future, go ahead and follow KYGO Digital on the YouTube channel. This will be up there. And then just connect with us on Twitter. Don't forget to use the hashtag and whatever it is that you're creating out there to share it with all of us, just like you guys did today. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for having me.
Get involved with Kentucky Go Digital. Attend regional events, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us on Twitter.